I woke up very unhappy, very scared, just very scary, scary, really scared. Was I really scared? I had like weird feelings in the pit of my stomach before it even started. I'm scared.
Unfortunately, I actually didn't write this time like one of my typical cringy
Oh no.
introductions.
Oh no, I love the cringy ones the most.
Honestly, I just get really excited when the three of us are together.
Are you on? Did you take 7 NyQuil before this?
That's right, guys.
Because the name of the movie is Together.
That's right, y'all. He did it again. The Bad Boys of Horror are back, y'all, with the 23rd ever episode of Two Men and a Baby.
Jordan.
The horror movie review show where three best friends discuss a new horror movie each episode. I'm your harrowingly handsome host, William Dubbs. And as usual, I'm joined to my right by Brendan Fletcher, musician turned horror historian. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw, posted a video of Brendan playing some blues. It was really good. He's good at music. I don't just call him that. And to my left by Abbie Krinsky, comedian and titular baby, who also had a stand-up set last weekend that he said went really well. Everybody's good at stuff except for me.
But the intros, dude.
Dude, I gave like really good presentations this month, and it makes me happy when you guys are good at things. That's true. I do mean that. That's not a joke.
Thanks, man. See you say that.
Anyway, this episode.
Hurry up and get into it.
Yeah. Next segment.
Oh, dude, that's gonna. All right. This episode, we're covering 2025's Together, written and directed by Michael Shanks, but maybe somebody else, apparently.
Shanks, but no Shanks.
And starring Alison, Brie, and the good
Dave
Franco.
Blue Cheese.
Oh, I get it. Alison spreadable cheese. Anyway, let's hear them pipes, B.
The pipes are
Let's pop
blowing.
it.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
Slay.
Before we dive directly into our itinerary, our schedule of scares, if you may, does anybody want to quickly talk about their viewing experience? Anything notable?
I got way too high before
You
it.
saw it last night?
I saw it last
Classic.
night.
That used to be your line in the first 5
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah, but this time I stopped at a dispensary before, and I'm not even kidding you. My favorite strain right now is Runts. And I said, hey, do you guys have Runts? And the guy goes, yeah, so we got Trump Runts and we got Obama Runts. And I was like, what is this? Everything's so political these days.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, as though I was going to get it, the guy goes, please don't get the Trump Runts. I'm like, first of all, you're the one selling it.
Abbie, you should have got that. There's probably way crazier. Dude, that shit gets you fucked up.
This shit will make you a pedophile.
Yeah, it'll make you so high that you ruin your country.
Yeah. It would suck if the Trump Runts was really good weed. Either way, I wasn't going to get the Trump Runts, so I got the Obama Runts. Found myself drone striking other civilians, but no, I was happy with the Obama Runts. And I was high as shit, and I got into the theater, and I did my classic buy the popcorn there, sneak a drink in. I snuck in a water, and it was in my jacket, and I kid you not, I was so high, I couldn't get the water out of the pocket of the jacket for like 10 minutes. But I was in my head that I was making too much noise. Like, you would have left the theater if you sat near me. I was just shuffling. It was just like shuffling around.
Thought about
He's
that.
saying if it was you doing it, you're
No. If he was in my presence
if
while
he was sitting near
I
me,
thought you meant
I would have
'cause he's
had
so
murderous thoughts, but I would
self-aware,
never
he
actually
would've
done
no,
it.
you would have not drank the water.
Wait, so the
No
Obama
chance.
Runts, what was the packaging? Like,
It was bullshit. It's like they just changed the name
What
on a
if-
whim to make it silly.
Yeah.
The real joke is they're exactly the same.
Oh, that's fucking deep, dude.
dude, that's some. See, you guys
We have no
Politics.
sometimes you
We're
get
back,
some actual
baby.
political commentary that actually blows
Yeah.
your minds up. So thank you guys for
Actually,
listening. We'll
blows
be
your
on
mind, yeah.
C-SPAN tomorrow.
Anyone else have a good?
So I actually have nothing noteworthy about my viewing experience, but I do have a story that I want to use that time to tell. So this is true. I didn't even know this happened in real life. So I got hit up on LinkedIn by a headhunter. I assume to try
a
to
mercenary?
no,
Oh, job head.
a recruiter.
Sorry, we're in a horror movie.
A
podcast.
recruiter, except it wasn't for a job. The recruiter works on behalf of matchmakers. So matchmakers, like you see on the reality TV, are people who get paid a ton of money to find dates and eventually husbands or wives for their
Yeah,
clients.
we've seen Hitch.
But what I didn't know is that they are so expressed that they also need to outsource the matchmaking to recruiters, right? So this guy talked to me about it. I spent an hour. It was a dude too, so he let me be like way too honest. Anyway, I ended up getting a meeting that happened today with the matchmaker herself.
Does it say single on your LinkedIn profile? How did they?
No, what do you think everybody that pays a matchmaker has in common? They're rich. What do you think rich people care about? What your job is more than anything. So literally, he just needs to probably sift through people that work in certain industries.
This dude is probably causing so many marriages to break up because the dude's just, I might have another chance. And he's, oh, actually, it didn't work
Well,
out.
the funny thing is, I'm like, do I need to charm this fucking guy right now to have any success?
Blow him.
Anyway, so he sets up the call with the actual matchmaker herself. So I passed his initial screening. Sick. Anyway, I have the meeting.
God, I hope this turns into a horror movie.
Now it's a woman, and this is way more nerve-wracking because I'm like, she doesn't like me. If I don't charm her, it's never going to go well. But, you know, after they get past the formalities, how tall are you, what do you do for work kind of shit, they're like, so what do you do for fun? And, it's, of course, all the cliches. I like to hang out with my friends, whatever. But the two that stand out are billiards. And
That's a big standout there.
I was like, I have a podcast. Like, that's a hobby that me and my friends do. And they're like, what is it?
I said denied. No.
What is it about? And I explained the premise in horror movies, and she's like, oh, that's actually great. And I was like, it's embarrassing to say that to a woman. And she's like, oh, yeah, we'll definitely keep that part out and just say horror movies. So apparently it is a very unsexy quality for the three of us.
Podcasting.
Are you just learning that, dude? What?
Wait, that's
No, obviously. I was telling
The New York Times came out with the 5 most like unsexy traits, and podcasting was like 3.
I literally
at least we
said
don't play video games.
I did offer up that it was embarrassing and not, but I explained it, and her like thing was like, we'll just put down horror.
Like your interests are horror movies.
Yeah. She's like,
He talks about it, but I swear there's no mics in the room. I promise.
She was like, it's my job to know who I should tell that to, and I was like, hopefully nobody.
Wow, this is crazy.
And then I pitched her on the show.
And now she's a new listener.
If you're listening.
If you're listening, we're all single.
I actually fell in love with my matchmaker.
Honestly, if anyone's listening still, hit us up.
Hit us
but
up.
Thank you guys so much for coming out. We're going to really dig our fucking teeth into this thing, because this movie was, what do you guys think about this thing?
We're going to dig our eyes into it.
That's a perfect segue into our first item of the agenda side, Abbie's itinerary, which is how we always start, giving our own, in one sentence and one sentence only, synopsis of the film before contrasting it with the official one, so folks at least have a general idea of what the movie is about. Who wants to kick it off?
I'll kick this puppy off, and we'll kick this puppy, and
And just kick this dog.
yeah.
There are dogs in this movie.
Don't kick dogs. I like animals. Actually, the first scene, they're dogs. Anyway, my synopsis goes as such. After relocating to the countryside, partners Millie and Tim stumble upon an unholy temple designed to make them inseparable.
I already knew that was good because I read multiple synopses. I'm like, this is, dude, Brandon wrote.
He's back.
He's back, dude. Fucking killed it. All right, I'll go next. I literally texted Abbie. I was like, I'm not sure how much I want to divulge about my personal life, but you're going to find out immediately.
As you just told a 12-minute story about your love life.
This is a bit more like this is group therapy. In a movie about fusion, I really wish I wasn't made to feel like I viewed a horrifying display of the worst parts of my last 2 relationships mushed, well, together.
Shit, this shit's getting sad, dude.
Yeah.
Doug, that was good.
Yeah. Okay, mine is a couple that shouldn't be together. Guy drinks water. Now they're together. Long time.
All right, should we even do this anymore?
All right, here's how it goes on the RTs. Years into their relationship, Tim and Millie, Dave Franco and Allison Brie,
Who are married in real life. I didn't know.
That's one of my
Yeah.
flashbacks, but thank you for jumping on
Sorry.
my flag.
Abby
Jeez.
anecdote. Abby
I'm
anecdote.
joking. That was good. Abby anecdote.
find themselves at a crossroads as they move to the country, abandoning all that is familiar in their lives except each other. With tensions already flaring, a nightmarish encounter with a mysterious, unnatural force threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. I do appreciate the parallelism.
Yeah, Lives, Love, and Flesh. That's a little creative for RT.
Brendan's was better.
Yeah, I felt like
definitely
mine was a little less clunky. Guys hiring
Definitely.
me. Who hires synopses?
Yeah.
Synopsisers.
So they probably just used
Sandy
AI.
Synopsis.
Synopses.com. Just
He's
Yeah,
hiring.
reach
If
out
there are
and,
matchmakers for
Yeah.
synopsis,
Synopsis writing?
the headhunters for the synopses
front of the
companies
hinge.
out there.
So now we're gonna suck our way down to the Binky score from our boy Abbie
Oh.
Kransky.
So I don't know if you listen to
And
the
Abbie
intro.
actually reached out to me the other day and said, "Brendan, can you come up with a little jingle for this segment?" And I tried. And corner is a hard word to rhyme with. So I had some trouble, but I did have a couple drafts that we're gonna play right now.
Whoa. I didn't know this was happening. Did
Yeah,
you
I'll
know
send
this
them.
was happening?
Yeah, text him. Listen to the story.
We'll do it later.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
I can play them right now.
Was he sucking on a binky? Did he do his stinky? Did he pull his hat brim low? Did he fake a family emergency so he could get out of the show? Yes, he is a baby. I don't mean maybe, but I've never seen him run. Just one time I seen him cover his eyes before the pre-reviews had begun.
So that's one.
Wait, that was really good.
And there's another one.
Nobody puts baby in the corner, but he actually is in that corner. Nobody puts baby in the corner, but he's in that corner right now.
Fucking hell yeah, dude.
All right, but anyway, Abbie, let's take a little trip down to the baby in the corner. I would love to hear your thoughts about
So-
this one.
So this is Baby in the Corner, where Abbie, our resident infant, explains exactly how scary the movie was and provides a rating on the Binkymeter as a human barometer for normal folk.
Sick. I want to say I'm trying to make sure I don't overreact from that Obama runts, baby, but I was scared out of my goddamn gourd.
Really?
So I want to I want to hear your guys real quick. Don't talk very long. This is my fucking segment.
Okay.
I'll buzz
yes,
you
sir.
up.
Yes, sir.
Was it scary though? Was it pretty
You're
scary?
pretty demanding for a baby, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there were parts that were scary. There were parts that I didn't think were scary at all.
Okay. All right. Fine.
I think it had two really good jump scares, but I didn't find the movie itself
Okay.
scary.
I would probably agree with that.
Okay.
but those two were excellent.
Okay. Again, it could have been the theater, it could have been like the last minute nature, could have been the Obama runts, but I think it's the scariest I've been watching. Like I was as
On the
scared
show.
Yes.
Together.
Yeah.
With jokes. The movie with jokes.
I know. There were funny parts that saved it
That's
for a
fair,
second,
dude.
but
That's fair.
Well,
I
that's
thought Oddity and this are the two most scared I've been.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was right because what this did was, and it's crazy too because I think I let my guard down a little bit because two people that I texted complaining about how scared I was were like, it's just gonna be gory. I fucking love gore. I'm not scared of
Yeah,
gore,
body
but
horror.
it was fucking jump scary. There was a few of them, and yeah, the first jump scare that was in there.
You really are Al Gore when it comes to gore.
Wow, I'll be
Planet.
gore.
Al Gore runs.
Yeah. The first jump scare, I jumped because it was a jump scare, but I was like, oh no, is this movie gonna be bad? It was like his dream sequence. I don't want to get too
Yeah, it's-
spoilery, but I was like, oh no, is this gonna be bad? And then it just kept those up, but they started making more sense in the plot, and I was just terrified. The body horror was just there and added to it, but wasn't enough just funny gore to take me out of it. And then it got funny, but it still was scaring the fucking shit balls out of me.
Major genre and tone
Twist,
pivot like in the
They were
smack
putting
dab.
them together,
Yeah,
you could
actually-
say.
Whoa, I actually didn't even think about that one.
Listening to you say that makes me appreciate it more. I feel like being able, because I would just think like Oddity is just, we're here to scare you. So to be able to I just feel like if you laughed 5 minutes ago,
It feels like you're okay.
Yeah, you've been injected with a little confidence. But that makes it more impressive, I think.
100%. And I got a few more things. So for us babies, the scariest part of all horror movies is always like the beginning to middle. Like Conjuring being one of the scariest movies I've ever seen was the scariest movie I think I've ever seen. So this is like up there with that in a way to me. Conjuring might have been the scariest. But either way,
Oddity.
yeah, they were both scary. This one, they didn't come to that moment that every horror movie happens where they finally all agree of what's happening until over an hour into this movie. I checked my watch, partially because I was scared. But it was crazy how long it was just like, it's just going. And we're just like slowly finding out, and like he's onto it, but she doesn't believe him. And that's like a classic horror trope. But it was like, also, he's such a fucking dumb that I believe that she wouldn't believe him.
Yeah, I feel like that is a classic horror trope. Like, it always comes up where one person is like either visualizing these things, seeing these like horrific things, these like supernatural things, and they're trying to like confide with someone else and, okay, something's going on with you. We have to check you into a hospital, or
exactly.
Yeah.
But this one just forever. It was never really chill. And usually, we've talked about a lot. The third act, the shit goes batshit crazy act, like The Conjuring, as crazy as it was. Once she's floating, I'm like, okay, like, this is not real. This one, it was like, even the scenes, like when they split up at the, I mean, just so much fear. I was really fucking scared. The classic baby wounds that were being tickled. The night was so scary. Every day, you're just like, please don't go to sleep. Please don't go to sleep. But then the days were scary too, and they did a good job of having different types of fear in it. I was really impressed on a scare meter. I can give away that my Binkymeter is higher than my score of the movie. I thought the movie was good too, but dude, I was fucking terrified from beginning to end. I felt the exact. We also talked about it, and this was the most distilled I've had and noticed this since we've done the show. I felt directly like I was on a roller coaster the whole time. Just like something, we're about to go on the big drop. And then we'd hit a big drop, and then it'd be like, what, we're creeping back up. There's going to be a big drop. The scene, I will get into it more later, but the scene when she flies from behind the bathroom window, and you can see her obscured through the window, so you can't really see her. Yeah. I yelped so loudly. I was not expecting it, and I was writing
What was
something.
your rating?
I was writing something, and I yelped so loud that people started laughing at me in the theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was so embarrassing. I was like a new level of Hank Hill yelp.
Damn.
So all of that
That was
said,
a scary scene. That was
okay. Thank you.
sure.
I feel a little
Definitely.
accepted. So I am gonna give this a 9.3. On the Binkymeter, which might be the highest
I
I've
think
ever
that
given.
is a high. That's what I
think
was
it is.
trying to look up.
Yeah.
and I couldn't find
I
it.
know I gave a
you gotta
9,
save some sets for the
9.1
future,
for
dude.
Oddity. I
Yeah.
know, but dude, I can't. I was so uncomfortable, and there was no
You
letdown.
should have got the
Is this the
Trump
high-
runs, dude.
Yeah,
I think.
know. Maybe I would.
Is this the highest Binkymeter rating you've given?
I think so. I think it is.
I
And-
believe
and
that feels
Seems
like
high.
the highest.
Yeah. Wow, dude, yeah.
Again, because Conjuring maybe overall was the scariest movie. Talk to Me really fucked me up. I was scratching my skin at certain points. And then Oddity was one of the scariest I've ever been. All of those had moments later where I got to relax. This one, I really didn't feel relaxed until literally like the tag at the end. But like the movie was pretty much, it was an hour and a half.
Did the body horror elements of this movie make you scared?
No, not really.
Yeah,
no.
okay. That's
just
what my
jumps.
that was my big
My
portion.
my only reaction is I do feel like there were a lot of moments of reprieve in this because
Momentary,
of the
but plot wise, they didn't like once the body's floating in The Conjuring, it's like it's never will go back in a way because everything is there. All the people are around. This one, they were so lonely.
so
they were
can-
so alone.
But I agree with that. Sometimes when you watch a horror movie and there are moments of respite from like the horrific things going on, you feel like at any point it could go back into a horrific scene, like where it's okay. They lure you into a sense of security with these comedic scenes, and then they hit you in the face with another like horrific scene.
I totally agree and I always get frustrated by that. Like the horror movies that it's like you're walking slowly down this terrifying hallway only for the SWAT team to kick down the door. And and I do think Oddity was one where the third act was still fucking spooky. It was a bit more chaotic, but they still had it was more of a crescendo. It's like they restarted a new crescendo in Act 3 of Oddity with the movement of the doll thing.
But if I remember Oddity correctly, the bad guy becomes like the good guy halfway through, like that supernatural element. You now realize that the doctor's bad and the supernatural element's trying to fight the doctor, and now you're like, oh, I have a friend now. Like again, it just feels less alone. And Conjuring, same thing. They're all gathered in the house now. They're all together, like you said. The SWAT team, perfect analogy. This was like they were always alone. They never had one person to help.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think that this is interesting because the whole concept of this segment is for you to be the more like objective view of scary.
Yeah.
But if I were to have guessed, I would be like, I don't think Together was a scary movie.
Because it was funny.
Because it was tonally all over the place, and it's certainly body horror first and foremost, which generally is
Right.
a
It's less-
different type of scary. That word has a different meaning than horror. I would have thought the normal person, that's what I would say, that I didn't think it was that scary, but it did have, in my opinion, a couple of very isolated moments of really high scares, but also really high laughs,
Yeah.
really high. And you're saying it was sustained.
Yeah,
throughout.
I
That's
laughed.
int-
I for sure felt like calm when I laughed, but none of them solved the problem of the
never
plot. Like it was
Gave you
always still
confidence back,
exactly
right. Yeah, that's
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, cool.
That's one of my favorite. Wait, 9.3 Binkies?
9.3 Binkies.
Yeah, we're also supposed to say, would you just generally recommend this
All
film?
right. I like how also last time we did it at the same time, which means you can't hear any of us, but I think we should keep that going. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe.
All right.
See, baby.
All right, we're gaining
Depending who I'm talking
We're
to.
gaining a contrarian here. Okay, so
Yeah, get a new bit, Brandon.
let's get into it.
Listen, I'm the Simon Cowell of this pod. We all know this.
Oh, mate.
Except
let's
you
fucking.
can sing when you judge.
Ooh.
Totally.
Let's
what's
walk
that
on
section?
down. Let's walk on down.
To the spoily?
Can
Yep.
we walk on down to the spoiler room and then we go down and the stairs are broomed. Then I step on a nail today. Then I fell and I said, "Ow, hey!"
Whoa. We're inside, babies.
Can't believe that's the new theme song.
First try, nailed it, babies.
Nailed.
Nailed. So, Abby, do you want to give a go at the
Yeah.
quick plot sum?
Let's do it. Okay, so this is the brief plot summary. Reminder, we're in the spoiler room. I'm about to spoil the shit out this movie to you. Welcome to those that didn't see it and want to learn about it without watching it. And those that do want to watch it first, go watch it. Pause. Okay, welcome back. Here we go. So the movie opens up and there's just a weird butthole in the middle of the forest. And then these dogs are down there and the dogs drink from the butthole. Next thing you know, the dogs are like staring at each other, but you knew something was wrong. They weren't lovingly staring. Next thing, a little girl walks out. They're what I thought were just eating each other, but you start realizing they're maybe fusing. They're doing some weird shit. It's weird. They're not really that clear. Then we cut to a couple. They probably shouldn't be together. Real Bushwick, deadbeat boyfriend vibe, Upper East Side, Carroll Gardens type of controlling girlfriend vibe. They shouldn't be together. They're at a party. They're about to move upstate. Dave Franco is the deadbeat, and he's, I don't know if I should be in this relationship. And then she's surprised, I'm proposing to you.
Whoa.
Oh, gender swap. He doesn't like it. He freezes. Very awkward, fun, whatever. They move up to the house. They still hate each other. Franco's having weird nightmares. He finds a creepy rat king in the house. First rat king reference on the show. But the house isn't even the scary part. Thought it might be Conjuring-y. Nope. And then he tells some weird story about his mom, who looks just like Hillary Clinton. And his trauma was that the mom was living with the dad after the dad died for like weeks, and the body was decomposing, and she was just in the bed, and he was just there, and then he walked up and saw it. So he's fucked up. They go on a hike to try to fix their problems. That'll always work. They fall into the weird butthole thing that we had talked about before. The dumb boyfriend Franco drinks the water in there because he's an idiot. They're seeing weird cult drawings and stuff like that, and they're like, yo, this is probably like a creepy place. We should get out. And then they get out, and then there's, okay, that was weird, but let's move on and whatever, fine. She's making friends with some coworker who looks like a carrot. Dave Franco's now weird. He's like weirdly drawn to her, but also blacking out and also touching her weird, and you just know something going on because we saw the dogs already. So then at one point she drives away. He realizes they literally can't be apart. He's losing his fucking mind. They start sticking to each other in his sleep. They're trying to like fuse together. She's in denial, whatever. Then we find out it's all even more fucked up. The coworker, the carrot guy, was actually a fused two people from a cult. That the cult used to be in the forest. The cult clearly is the cause of this. The cult likes to fuse people. They're like, shit, we're gonna get fused. There's a missing couple they've been looking for the whole time. They find them. They're like grotesquely fake fused. They didn't really work. They're gross. And then they're like, yo, we got to fix this. And then they're like, actually, never mind. And then they fuse lovingly. And then, and the last second, they cut to what looks like Tig Notaro, comedian. And so that's what they turned into. And that's the movie.
For everybody that followed that,
That was great.
bless. So, a summary should be objective. I wonder if some of
Okay,
that.
don't tell me I have a fucking summary.
He did a lot of editorializing. That's what made it great.
Okay, but I've already am like, was she controlling or was she reacting?
Was he actually a deadbeat, or was he just pursuing his dreams of being a musician?
Exactly.
Oh, I think we know who each relates to.
You used too
Very
many
seen in
adjectives,
this movie.
dude. Nah, that was great.
I thought, because I agree, I didn't want to do the
Yeah, listen,
classic
Abbie thinks
sexist-
anyone who takes a risk on themselves is a deadbeat. I can understand where Abbie comes from.
No, that was good.
I'm joking. He is a deadbeat. She got his real estate license. Basically,
That's funny.
what do you write down?
one of my.
Am I having an intervention, dude?
No, one of my favorite lines in the movies was when she's trying to deliberately hurt him. She says, "You're a 35-year-old white guy who still thinks he's going to be a rock star."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's our show, dude."
Get your real estate license,
Yeah, has
dude.
he ever tried a podcast, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, way easier. No talent required.
How was his guitar picking, Brendan?
Yeah, not great. It was fine, but like, this is your career?
Yeah, and he wasn't even like a singer-songwriter. It's like, you're going to be the session guitar, the touring guitar player. You got to be fucking
Yeah, but
picking
people
there.
aren't really focusing too harshly on that. Like
On
in
that
movies
rhythm
and stuff,
guitar,
they're like
yeah.
you
Two
just
men
gotta-
and an acoustic. The
Yeah,
horror
yeah.
movie review show where Brennan reviews.
But I honestly didn't see him as a deadbeat. I saw a guy who had a very traumatic past.
Yeah, he's fucked up. No, you're right.
And,
I don't
and, like
mean to.
it fucked up. And there was moments. What I really loved about this movie, and can we dive into that?
dive,
love-
dude. Greg Louganis, dude. Dive into that.
I'm gonna dive into it, dude. From the high.
or
the
we
high
took
dive.
the plunge. You're gonna take the
I'm
plunge.
about to take the plunge. That is a thing for the movie. But basically, I would say my favorite movie in the past 10 years was Hereditary.
You always
And
say that.
Ari Aster has this like great ability of making these small, like either microaggressions or like nuanced things between people, whether it be a conversation or like a power dynamic or like how you feel towards a significant other, how they feel towards you. These small, like cringy, anxiety-inducing moments that I find when you capture them correctly are the most terrifying parts of a
Yep.
movie. And I felt like the beginning of this movie was so well done because Michael Shanks was able to depict those moments very well, especially in the scene where she surprises him at this party by proposing to him. And in my lib woke ass mind, I'm fighting with my brain's having a civil war going,
Right.
oh, this is cool. Like, I'm loving the sort of destruction of the gender roles and stuff. And yeah, why shouldn't she propose to Dave Franco's character? But at the other part of my mind's going, I understand his complete
Going like, wait,
kind
are
of...
they allowed to vote now?
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah, right.
I'll
But
make
like,
one joke real quick.
I understand like his complete, like his reviled attitude towards it because I understand, yes, it could feel emasculating. And also, he probably doesn't even know whether or not he wants to spend the rest of his life
Well,
with
that's
Alison
what I think,
character.
to be fair.
But I
it's
think
like-
it's a combination of the two.
Yeah,
right?
the
Well-
gender thing is definitely valid and worth mentioning.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
why I said controlling and why I think it's valid, like the pushback was like, it wasn't like they were in this happy relationship. They were like in a rut. They
100%.
weren't having
And
sex.
let me
no one
caveat
should
it.
propose to anybody
Yes, 100%.
if he did it too.
Let me put a caveat on that because there was a great line in that movie, and I've never heard this line before, and I thought it was masterfully used, where Dave Franco's character is outside talking to this other bandmate, Alison Brie's brother in the movie, saying that, hey, man, when I die, I don't want someone else's life to flash before my eyes. And I was like, oh, that's such a great line. And that also has to do with his kind of like
Right.
hesitancy to,
Yeah.
or his just shock that she would propose to him. She is taking life by the reins where he is taking a passenger
passive,
seat,
yeah.
passive role.
Going.
Yeah, Dubs is gonna explode.
Yeah, I've been going back to the gender roles. It is hilarious that she takes ownership of what is the quintessential male job, but doesn't do the material part of paying
Oh, 'cause
for
she
the
doesn't have the
ring.
ring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Says, I'm gonna do it, except I'm not paying for it. I'll take you out to dinner, but can I have your card?
Well, it's an interesting gender role too, because actually on a reverse, like I have trouble with things that represent money, fashion stuff. It always seems like a waste to me. So I actually think there's something really beautiful about proposing with the open hands, which is just like, can we love each other? And that's the most important part.
Yeah,
But
right.
it also would be funny if that was reversed. It'd be like, oh, dude ain't even buy a ring.
Well,
It's-
reversed.
it is important though that she chose to do that display publicly.
I know.
because then it loses
And that's
some
why-
of the power of that symbol.
And that's why I think that, again, it's like very clear that they're both like very not on the same page in their relationship, which is pretty beaten down the head.
The exposition of the like status of the relationship was not subtle at all, and I think that's important, and we should talk. I have so many lines written down about how well they developed that discomfort. I think, to your point, Brendan, what makes Hereditary like one of, if not the best contemporary horror movie, is that, in my opinion, the scariest part of that movie is the scene at dinner where the son finally confronts
Yeah.
Toni Collette, and
Yeah.
she just is, I hate you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Or she's at the foot of his bed. Let's not talk about make this Hereditary podcast, but where she's at the foot of his bed and she is, yeah, I don't love you anymore. She like covers her mouth, physically
Yeah.
covers her
Yeah.
own mouth, and the look on her face is like, whoa, that's
No,
just
that's
so
it-
visceral.
to make that so scary.
But
is
there were
unbelievable.
moments in this movie that I felt
listen.
were similar.
I think if this is an okay segue, so I didn't know until 5 minutes before this podcast they were married in real life. I've probably been told that a million times, and I just don't really care, to be honest. But it makes sense because they had great chemistry.
Yeah.
She
Or not.
was so good,
Right.
fake,
Yeah.
good, bad chemistry. Well, it's like the same way people that drink a lot know how to act drunk even when they're sober and acting.
I don't know
Flip that.
anything
You mean
about
sober when they're
that.
drunk.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Alison Brie is such a good fucking actress. I was blown away. Like, I know her from Community. She's hilarious and
Yeah,
great.
she's great.
But watching the range here, and she's still playing like a prototype that she usually plays, but it's the little subtleties. And what I wrote down about it is I like Dave Franco. I think he's likable. I think you could replace Dave Franco with many different people in this, and it would be just as good. And with certain people, it might be better. Granted, their chemistry might not be as good. But if she's replaced by 90% of actresses in Hollywood that they would consider for this role, I think it'd be like a shit movie.
I agree. Yeah.
She carries it. Like, she has
Dave Franco
to be...
was doing a lot of overacting.
No,
dude.
but-
I like a lot of the huffs and puffs.
Yeah.
And like these weird idiosyncrasies that I felt like were unneeded. But anyway,
He has this abrasive nasally voice, and I was on this subreddit that somebody was like, dude, I really am looking forward to this movie, but God, I hate Dave Franco. And they were like, you'll love it. And
Yeah.
I was like, actually, really an excellent point. So you could argue it had to be somebody that is
No,
annoying.
you're right. If he was too likable, if he was
Yeah.
too charismatic, then
No,
we'd
then-
be on his side. Like, then she'd feel...
It did
yeah.
a
No, he was
really
good. He
good
was good.
job
No, he
of,
was good. But
of not really... There's no winner or loser.
no.
Yeah.
And there's no clear, I hate the woman, I love the man. And actually, I think we just made jokes around what is actually a really interesting part of this movie, which is, if you thought one character was way worse than the other, you're probably projecting.
Yeah.
Like, which is an interesting way to think of it. And it's funny that I talked the most shit about him because I did find him insufferable. That's because he's literally like a Bushwick guy wearing a King Gizzard shirt that I own that is like
You had
playing
that shirt?
music and is 35. I'm like, this guy, I might not be him, but I am friends with him for sure.
I have so much to say about all of those themes, but since we're still talking about the actors and the production, I feel like I actually found out about this from the matchmaker today, and Abbie then asked me to look it up. There's a ton of controversy like swirling around this movie right now.
Let's get into it, dude. There's a lawsuit.
There's a
you
lawsuit.
guys are stepping on my flesh facts.
Brendan, if
slow
you-
playing them. Closed mouths don't get facts, dude.
All right.
So hit him.
I thought we were talking about the movie, not lawsuits. Anyway, so right now, Alison Brie and Dave Franco are facing some legal troubles. Let's put it that way. There was a movie in 2023 that came out, independent movie. I think Brooklyn Film Festival was originally premiered.
the right camera
called
stuff.
Better Half. And it's a sort of like a rom-com. It's comedic. It's not. There's no horror in the movie at all.
really?
But
They fused together while having sex.
this is another big thing about
Yeah.
this movie. Better Half, you can't find a trailer. You can't find, it's not anywhere. And I wonder if there was some legal efforts on the behalf of Alison Brie and Dave Franco to erase this from
Yeah.
the footprint from the internet.
Right.
But I will say that the two, if that's true, that's crazy if they fuse together. But
It's so much
the two glaring things like the Plato Symposium, like when they talk
supposedly,
about,
yeah.
and also there's a reference to Spice World, the Spice Girls album in the movie as well.
Which, all right, so I was reading about that
also,
too.
yeah.
I read a lot more than I should have, like the Reddit conversation on this, which is always like an interesting way and also an unhealthy way to read about it. The things I would say is, to distill it all, it's actually very simple to me. This plot, no things are original, and this plot is not that original. That I think the idea of art is stealing and ideas can happen simultaneously, which is important to keep in mind. Like, my gut is always, okay, calm down. He didn't steal your idea. People have similar ideas. It enters the zeitgeist. I'm sure stories were written like the Plato thing. I'm sure stories have been written like this for hundreds of years. If the Spice Girls thing is directly in Better Together, Happy,
Better
Better
Half.
Half. If the Spice Girls thing is in Better Half, this is directly plagiarism and they should get in trouble. But I haven't found anywhere factually that it is. All right, Will, what do you
so
have?
excited. I was hoping nobody knew more than that. So, yeah, the big smoking gun is that the movie both end with a Spice Girls song. Now, the plaintiffs, I believe,
Yeah.
the ones suing, say, hey, you stole Plato's thing. You
Yeah.
stole our broad themes and
Themes, which
ideas
is- yeah.
because it's somebody who can't do commitment and somebody who is...
All those things are like,
And
you're not going to win
no,
a lawsuit on
it
that.
is a body fusion
yeah,
thing.
right.
But they say your movie, also ends with the album Spice World being played on vinyl. The problem is, Together features the song To Become One from the album Not Spice World. So, there's
But is it proven that Better Half actually plays a Spice Girls vinyl, though?
No, it
That's
comes
what
from
the
self-titled
laws-
Spice Girls.
That's what exactly the point. They're saying, look, you stole, and then they got too specific. So they said you stole our album, which it looks
a different album, but it's the same artist.
But so
seems like
people
a-
are saying that's the only red flag. It's like they're almost trying to get too specific.
But I would just say,
No,
I think
egregious.
this is all fair, but it's
We
we don't
makes
know
people
for
think that it's made up. Is
yes,
what there's.
we
is
don't
what-
know for a fact. None of us in this room, and nowhere that I can find online, for a fact proving that Better Half has Spice Girls in it at all.
Nobody
I know
can
someone on
see the
Reddit
movie
saying
You
now.
can't find it anywhere.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's
it's-
intentional.
I think it's that simple. If it has that, it's direct plagiarism. If not, it's an interesting story. The other
Listen,
thing I want
But
to point
to
out,
allege that it's they saw the movie and immediately were like, "You played our song," and they were like, "Do you know how we can prove it?" And then they named the wrong
Different
song.
song.
It's like
But,
they don't know
yeah.
their own movie,
Yeah.
which makes you think, did it really happen?
right? It's pretty cut and dry to me, though. If they
Well-
just find the script, does the script say Spice World in it? The original
That's the
script,
thing
and-
is apparently it was the script, not the movie. It was the script that was pitched to Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco.
no, I heard that.
And they turned it down
Right. And
because they
trying
wanted
to
to make it
make-
themselves.
that's what they're alleging.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll just point out, and I'm not saying any of that might not be true. It totally could be stolen. Fucking Hollywood people have done way worse. The one thing that I'll point out, though, is reading some of these Reddit things, and a lot of times these stories, it's always funny that they mention the stars, granted they're producers, and they don't mention the goddamn writer. It's like Michael Shanks wrote and directed this movie. If it was stolen, Michael Shanks stole it. There's not a writing credit on there. There's not even a co-writing credit by Dave Franco. It is written and directed by
They're the
Michael
producers.
Shanks.
Yeah,
but,
but-
producers don't usually add whole scenes.
But you
Well,
would-
they
you
gave-
can argue that the person that funded a
They gave the
plagiarized
No, that's-
movie is
it-
responsible
To Michael
as
Shanks.
culpability.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly true. And Michael Shanks' response is that he submitted this script in 2019. He says to
Right.
the
But
WGA.
we don't know,
We don't know any of
anything
that.
about the other
No, of
movie.
course.
This is interesting though, because he came out with this statement, and this actually reminds me of something that happened in real life, of something where I actually knew
This is real life too.
they
Dude,
actually.
this the podcast should be called Law and Horror.
Well, he wrote this heartfelt thing about. He's my dad died. I was unhealthy in my reaction to this loss, this void it created, and this movie is explicitly about
Fair.
me. And
Right.
he was like, it's utterly devastating to me
Yeah.
that this
No, I
could
read that.
possibly be something I have to defend. Honestly, what I think is that the truth probably exists somewhere between the two.
I agree,
There's
but
two-
usually that's always where I go. But once again, somewhere there is no in between of a Spice World thing. So I'm still back on that. Either Spice Girls
yeah,
was
he probably
if Spice
stole-
Girls was mentioned once in the fucking original script of Better Half, then this is fucking insane, and they need to get sued their asses off. And if Spice World's not mentioned, then there's a lot of fucking fake news going
I'm
on.
wondering if
around.
he like just heard the pitch out
And
loud,
maybe- and sometimes
and
you
he
take
already
it in
had the
subconscious,
or he
yeah.
already written the
Yeah.
script and kind of added an idea, thinking that he could never be held accountable.
Guys, just come a little closer, baby. Get it on, because tonight is the night where two become one.
But
I thought
do,
it might end with "Every girl in every world, spice up your life," and I was like, "That's gonna be a
Dude,
funny
that
ending.
album is flying.
well, reading his statement, if it is bullshit, can you imagine how
Yeah.
that guy feels right now?
Yeah,
Let's proceed as if there is no definitive answer about this. Let's
I'll just fucking pay them. I think the movie probably made there's 4 actors in it. It could
Yeah.
not have been that expensive. Just
It's
pay
about
the
to
fucking
kill. Yeah,
people.
it's
I will say this: I didn't even think that this movie needed the body horror element. I thought
Interesting.
it could have gone a completely different way. And because to me, the body horror elements of this movie didn't add anything.
Yeah, did it take
even
it
though
out a
it
little
was,
bit for you?
What?
Did it take you out of it a
didn't
little
take it
bit?
out, but
Okay.
I just felt like it could have, if it kept going down the path of these little, focusing on these kind of like micro aggressions and stuff, and like
Right.
the nuances between two people in a relationship, and like went more the Ari Aster route. I felt like
Do
it
you
could have been
still-
just as successful, because I felt like there was so much there. The subject matter had so much to unpack
Right.
that I like. Yeah, I get it. Like they're fusing together, but
do
that's the whole point of the movie.
Do you
So-
do you still think of like when you connect the body horror? Do you mean like that weird supernatural, like something's pulling them together, or you're saying like you're still okay with that, but you mean the literal like grotesque scenes, or you mean take out all of the more of the pull and put more of
Yeah,
the,
you know
like,
what? I just realized
murder?
the whole movie is basically
It's a
is
totally
that.
different.
No, but you don't have to show like they show the couple that was missing. Then they go into like full on the substance, the thing
Yeah.
style grotesque body horror. Like they didn't need that, but
I guess
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm saying is the different movie. Like when the first 20 minutes of the movie there's no inference
course,
to
yeah,
a body horror.
yeah.
Like, but if you go down the path of two people that are unsure of whether or not they want to be together, right? I feel like there's so much. Because
Blue
that's
Valentine.
what it is. He's having these episodes after he drinks the water, and there's something wrong with me, and he goes to a psychologist, and he gets prescribed Valium, and now it's called diazepam, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're having panic attacks. I could see someone having panic attacks from not wanting to confront the fact that they're going down a path, or like they're in like a speeding train in a relationship they don't want to be in, but they don't know how to like verbalize
Right.
it.
But
I feel like those are fears that everyone has, and I don't think you necessarily need for that one scene where Dave Franco's in the shower and Alison Brie's character is driving the car. She's like,
Yeah,
take a
and
shower.
he's
I'm gonna
following.
drive.
That was
and
my
he's
least
like
favorite scene in the movie.
Every time the car turns, he is hitting a different wall in the
Yeah.
shower, and I'm like, this is so.
No, I thought,
stupid.
I
so
thought the
I-
movie
I-
was going to be bad, and luckily that was
yeah.
only one scene about that.
Classic, totally disagree, Will Dubs. The reason I think that is so crucial about the body horror existing is that is what makes this a horror movie. And horror, when it's done properly, is it exists to elicit reactions, to display fears that are grounded in reality in a way that are different when they're done, like we just talked about with 28 Days Later, years later. So I think that, yeah, it could have been a drama about codependency or toxic relationships, but then it's not a horror movie.
Right, but the
and it's not a
scariest parts of this
successful
movie were completely devoid of any body horror elements. The
So
scariest part of
should
the movie
Hereditary
had
remove
nothing
the
to do with
cult?
body. No, I'm saying what made this movie scary you could have removed every body horror scene from this movie, and it would be, and you would keep the best scares in them.
As I just disagreed with you, Brendan, you did a beautiful thing. I don't know if you even realized, which is take us into the next topic, which is subgenre generally, and this is a body horror film without a doubt.
But it's also a regular horror film. Like it's also a very regular horror film. Like the classic jump
yeah.
scares. Like again, there is a movie. I think like most things in life, the answer is probably in the middle of what you guys are arguing. But there is a full-on horror movie with no body horror in this. There is a version of that. I'm
Yeah,
not saying it's
that's what I'm
worse,
saying, that's
but
what I'm
there's a
saying.
movie like a Smile type of movie, like with the jump scares and they're
Or
drawn
Hereditary,
together,
yeah.
and they're drawn together, but it's less of the physical. Again, I think of the real extreme body horror was like the couple that went missing in the cave. They're crawling around literally with two faces, and that was like some crazy.
What's the
effects.
movie with Scarlett
Like,
Johansson and Adam Driver? What's the name?
Marriage
of that?
Story?
Yeah, Marriage Story. So like,
Or you
a
said
A
Blue
divorce
Valentine.
story.
Yeah, or
Blue Valentine
exactly.
is one of the most old
so
movies I've ever
my
seen.
idea is like a horror version of those two movies. And
Dude, it's completely
That's what
original.
it
Take
is,
it, do
though.
it.
No, yeah,
you
right,
will
right.
never get sued.
But what I'm saying is the scariest part for me in this movie was when, after the night Alison Brie proposes to Dave Franco's character and they're lying in bed and he has that dream where he sees his mom and his dead dad, and that to
Yeah.
me was the scariest
Yeah.
part of the movie. And I was like, ooh, I hope this is like a movie about unpacking trauma and it really goes down deep into like how we can't be intimate with the person that's perfect for us because of our past and stuff.
This is
That's
so weird
interesting.
because I actually agree with you. I think that you're right. Those are the scariest moments, but I also think that's what makes they earn the right then to display that body horror. One can't work well without the other, I don't think.
I was going to ask you, is there a movie that comes to your guys' mind besides this that was as funny but also as scary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dubs
Well-
loves these types of movies, and not to speak for you, Dubs, but this is where we have a huge fracture between the movies that we like, is that I actually don't enjoy a comedic blend to any of my horror movies. But real quick, I just want to say this real quick to piggyback of what Dubs said about how the body horror elements were necessary. I felt like, sure, they didn't deliver in a horrific way, but they did provide value in like a metaphorical and poetic and like just as you would analyze a piece of literature, they were symbolically important to the movie. Didn't necessarily make me feel scared or anything, but I thought they certainly were important.
Actually, now I think we totally agree.
Yeah.
I don't.
Kiss.
Yeah,
But,
should we make out, dude?
But yeah,
No,
go.
What I was gonna say is this movie to me is so similar to The Substance, which is the big received body horror movie that hit the mainstream. And when I saw it, I don't know if it was the hype, I thought this is not that good. And the biggest issue I had with it was lack of subtlety. It was a movie about aging and body dysmorphia and fading stardom, and it couldn't have been less subtle. And I was like, why is this being heralded as this brilliant fucking thing when it's just so not, nothing's left to the imagination. And then I saw this, which is equally unsubtle. There's nothing subtle. You don't have to be smart to understand all of the issues with the relationship dynamic in this movie, and then the body horror that mirrors it. It's the same thing, except a very different issue that it's tackling with the body horror. But for me, I'm not a woman. I'm not an aging 40
substance
something.
is not for you.
But this, I have been in that relationship.
You're a deadbeat.
But I've been
I'm joking.
I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks. And you can see, and what happens is you do start to argue both sides in your head.
Right.
Even if I saw myself a little bit more as the Dave Franco, you start to see the reaction that you create in the other person, defend them, and that's how you end up in this
Codependent, like, hatred.
well, into we'll get to the ending and stuff later. But it brings me back to why I like Talk to Me Better Than Bring Her Back. I was like, dude, I think it's great when it's just
You can relate more to drugs than losing a child.
no, but also I'm starting to appreciate more and more. It's kind of like the third act issue with horror movies. I'd rather you establish a metaphor, the jump, and just execute it so well in a way that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's the body part that makes you uncomfortable or the relationship part that makes you uncomfortable. But the two together making you uncomfortable is beautiful, I think, and you don't have to fucking Google it afterwards.
Right. It's funny to hear the substance thing because I totally see it. And like thematically, and I really like the substance, but it's also funny because as a baby that like, I feel like it's so interesting to see how you guys were like, yeah, it was scary. And then you can just move on and talk about it. It's like nothing like the substance to me because the substance I had a blast and I was never scared. And I was so goddamn scared and uncomfortable and literally sitting like this the whole time. So I agree with all these things, but it's funny how I can't analyze it quite the same way.
Let's give some like historical context to what body horror is. Like, so the term was first coined by a man named Philip Brophy, who wrote an article about 1983 about the modern horror movie and how it diverges from classical horror. And specifically body horror, the genre, it became known to have like these genre bending themes. Like you couldn't pin it down as you could like earlier classical horror movies. You had movies like The Blob, The Fly, and then David Cronenberg's remake of The Fly.
Yeah.
But you do have, just because the term was coined in 1983 doesn't mean there weren't elements in again, like the 50s movies, The Blob and The Fly, but also in literature, like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Franz Kafka's Metamorphoses. So like these,
which I think that
hell yeah, dude.
I think that
read
book's pretty.
too.
That book's pretty Kafkaesque.
Yeah, it's
in my
mad
opinion.
Kafkaesque for real. But
Kafka
like body
just-
horror, specifically, we talk about like the tonal shifts and the genre bending nature of this movie. It's not uncommon, as seen in works that depict body horror in the past, to jump from
Also, the
between
OG
genres.
body horror, fucking Bible art. Like when
right
you
as-
look back at like old paintings, it's like this is all body horror. Like
Right.
it's
Crucifixion.
crazy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Before we do that, The Thing is one of the most famous body horror movies
absolutely.
ever,
Yeah.
and
We
we
all
all
talk
love
about
that. And the opening scene, the dogs, that was a absolute direct homage to The Thing.
Oh, so true.
Yeah,
So
the dogs. Yeah.
barking.
Did anybody else think that the Rat King? I thought.
Oh,
that
I got another fun fact about Rat King. By the way,
True.
Dubs' nickname in college was the Rat King. Take of that what you will. Okay.
Dude, I feel like this week I'm not the interrupter. I don't like being called Rat King. But anyway, it's a redheaded artist that's cool, so I'm okay with it. Anyway, the Rat King, he discovers it, and part of me was like, the cult figured out that the guy Jamie was,
The carrot.
yeah. But did anybody else at any point think that maybe the entire group,
Town.
like the entire cult, because they said they disappeared,
Right.
that they all fused into one person?
Oh,
So that's what I
no,
thought.
because it was clearly him and his husband were fused.
Yeah. Once you see
Oh.
the wedding immediately, or the picture of the two of them, you can see the
Yeah.
way they look. But when the Rat King and this idea of fusion, and then they say the entire cult fell off.
Right. I could see everybody in the town like being part of it.
Well, I just thought there was going to be, well, what if it's 20 people that fuse
I thought it was
together?
funny because when obviously like between genders, like the Franco Brie fusion, it's like that's gonna look a lot different. But the fusion between Jamie guy was funny because I get that's what they were trying to show, but I kept viewing it as one was just him but younger. Like I didn't understand that it was an in between because they were just white guys. Like I couldn't. So that was an interesting thing. But no, and actually I want to talk about that for a second. There was the Rat King. There was the rat that he smelled in his room.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was the childhood trauma. I think, like Brendan, you pointed out, it was great plot, real drama, real relatable, like in terms of just being like sad grief stuff. But it was a little weird that none of that really had payoff.
Oh.
Well, I think the whole idea
It's just a
is-
coincidence. If you zoom out, the story is this crazy thing happened to this guy. He finds a rat, but that actually has nothing to do with the town.
The only
Well,
thing
the rat was like gave him an excuse to talk to.
No, I
Alison,
get what it
but-
did as
Oh.
a storytelling.
So what's the question?
In the world of the movie,
Yeah.
is just a coincidence, right?
No.
You think there's real?
I think the Rat King was a red herring, but maybe just because of my reaction. But I think the
Well,
trauma.
the Rat King is a symbol for
For
stuck
fusion,
in
for
someone.
using-
Do you
yeah,
think
but
that the
it could've
town
been-
like cult put it there, or that it just was a coincidence that it was there?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
No, I think it was, or maybe they drank from multiple rats drank from the thing. But
They were
Rat
just-
Kings are a real phenomenon.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
we're
it
in New
was
York, baby.
just
We know about that.
it was foreshadowing.
Okay.
But I
that's-
do
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Because that's
I-
a crazy
the
coincidence.
reason-
Right.
Yeah.
for them to charge that object. I thought that for me, I was like,
They
oh,
charged it up so hard.
Dude,
you actually like
nothing like
more-
some jolted up rats,
yeah,
dude.
What's that?
Rat
Tesla?
King 10 or iPhone.
I was wondering. Thunderbolt. Okay, let's get into some Scream themes in this hoe.
Yeah, I really do. I don't want to steal too much of this thunder, but I have put a tremendous amount of thought and notes into what I think is a really well done execution.
Perfect.
of-
So if
nice.
you want
So
to fast forward
this
through that,
must
you're
be
going to
re-
want to hit fast forward about 10
Yeah,
minutes.
so this
and,
be really good.
Let's hear it.
I'll just
Dude.
be on my phone for the next 10 minutes.
guys,
Joking.
I'm about to
Start reading the notes, baby.
I'm about to cut myself open and expose myself to all three listeners. Look, I'm not going to use any names, but I did say that this movie hit really close to home. I want to just talk about all of the ways that they established what I know to be some of the worst signs of toxicity and codependency. And I actually, what the fuck?
This is
dude?
gonna be good. I'm sorry, dude. That was rude.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Guys, if they find a note, I'm not gonna address it to either of these motherfuckers. No, all right, that's actually dark as hell, dude. That a body horror movie of me hanging from the ceiling.
No,
Okay,
please
all right,
don't.
okay,
That's
all right,
not
all right. No, I am joking, but okay. I think I want to describe this both from a filmmaking standpoint, body horror standpoint, but then also a lot of the stuff that you touched on, you caught really well, Brendan. The first thing that I notice is the characters when they're introduced. She has bangs. He has a mullet. His hair flips out of the back. Hers goes down in the front. They're
Bushwick,
establishing
baby.
this. Even obviously the credits, the things coming together. It's not.
It's our toxic. That's what I heard.
That's
once.
true.
Yeah.
Nothing says starving artist. Also, the dog's killed faster than any other movie I've seen a dog killed, but that's separate. All right.
I thought you were
So
going to say that dog had a mullet.
So the first thing is that they're not having sex, and this is something that
And Will got really sad because he needs a sex scene in his movie.
Yeah.
Luckily, it
Dubs,
came later.
Let me
Ah,
tell
it
you
came.
something. Let me tell you something about my boy Dubs. If he doesn't see full frontal nudity within the first 2 minutes of this movie, he either walks out or he pulls it up on his phone.
I'm just talking about how well I think this man
Yeah.
wrote the
Yeah, yeah,
signs of problems
Red
in
flags.
relationships.
Yeah.
And there are two archetypes here for codependency, and the Dave Franco one. The guy who doesn't want to have sex, that is a very good indicator, whether people want to admit it or not, as to whether or not you are still in love with somebody. That's the first one.
Sherlock Holmes over here.
Obviously,
I'm sorry, I'm joking, dude.
okay. So, you already touched on the proposal. His initial reaction was great. It said everything. And then that scene in bed where they're having a little pillow talk and the way he says, I love you, but then still won't fuck her.
Yeah.
All right.
Make
Then
love.
we start to slowly learn about the trauma. And that, Abbie, you're asking, like, what's the payoff? I do think that using dream sequences as scares is a bit cheap, and I thought that they
Yeah.
were going to keep doing that.
Thank
But
God.
it ended up being just to explain why he was so codependent. Why he needed another person. He had this void created that he needed to fill by this traumatic loss of his
father.
Yeah. Then I noticed, like, literally when they fall into the well or whatever the fuck, he falls first. And
he pulls her in.
He literally pulls her down.
Yeah.
Pulled her down with him is what I wrote down.
And then the line when he goes, "Where's my phone? It had the demos on it."
Yeah.
It's a great line.
Also, the dogs are part of the search. That was interesting, I thought, of the initial couple that went.
That makes sense. That's why they were down there.
So then there's this whole concept of him not believing that what was happening to him could possibly be anything but insane. He goes to a psychiatrist. He gets the anti-anxiety meds. I think that it's huge that quite literally the only thing that delays this horror that's manifested is drugs.
Right. And I also think they did a great job. I wrote this down. The joke is, it's a pro-drug movie, but actually in a very good, succinct way. It's like the drugs are never the solve. And I love that they don't even play like it. It's just short term. And they both know that, and they still use it, but it doesn't solve. Yeah. No one ever.
Yeah. The muscle relaxer.
Yeah.
Dude, the literal. I knew I was.
When he snorts it on the ground.
I was going to say, I knew I was different from the rest of my audience. That was hard.
That was like a bridge too far.
That was the hardest
scene, dude.
Oh, that was the hardest I laughed in the movie.
But it was funny. You're right.
It was like, that's why it was a bridge too far.
Right.
It was so funny.
But that's why I love that Abbie still found it scary, because it did everything.
Okay, fair.
Anyway,
keep going.
But when if we snorted, it works faster. I was like, that. I laughed out loud, and I was the only person.
Yeah, no, true.
Will whispered over. That's true.
They're doing it wrong.
The Facebook post caption being "We took the plunge" is another kind of algorithm. But I thought the dinner scene was when we really get that. Ooh, we're gonna make you uncomfortable.
Jamie?
Yeah, with Jamie. He goes, this is also probably my second favorite line in the movie. He goes, "Do you drink red?" And she goes, "Tim drinks everything."
Oh, yeah. I noticed that.
Oh,
wait, you actually just reminded me. There's a great line that I don't know if you're going to hit it. The friend who's like trying to talk her out of it says something, and she just goes, talk about the biggest red flag. We're in a little rut. I think this will do great for it.
Yeah.
Like, the famous thing is like getting married or having a kid, as though that's going to help your relationship that's already having issues.
The solution never being to just end it.
Yeah, or
to
fix
try
it, actually.
some drastic new step.
Insane. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Then there's, at the dinner, this guy who's provided absolutely zero indication that he's in love with his girl, all of a sudden becomes hyper protective.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but that is something that happens.
Of course. Jealousy.
And it's like, you don't deserve the right to be, right? Yeah.
But it's also like jealousy. It's projection. It has nothing to do with the actual situation in front of you. It's projection, and it's insecurity.
We need to have an episode with a therapist, dude.
Yeah.
I think it would be the best. I think it would be the greatest
idea.
Anyway.
Everything up to a certain point until the body horror really starts to happen. You're, I think, supposed to not like James Franco. He's the guy that doesn't love the girl but wants to stay and is leading her on. And
especially when he pulls her into the. I feel like that was the director saying. Yeah, he's bad.
The first time the seesaw starts to tip in his favor is finally when it's actually not his fault. It's not chemically in his control anymore whatsoever. And maybe they're hinting at the fact that the trauma is. It literally, he does believe he loves her, kind of thing. Once the body horror starts happening, and it is not just a guy who doesn't love his girlfriend, she doesn't believe him.
Right.
But she always believed she had the right to be insecure until all of a sudden he's acting out of his fucking mind. So then they're literally sick when they're away from one another. That's not subtle at all. The codependency is fully established. One of the greatest lines in the entire movie, when it works in their favor. He comes to the school, and what she wants to get fucked finally happens. She says, "Tell me you want me." And he replies, "I need you," which turns her on, but is totally indicative.
Different.
She just wants to feel wanted. And
So true.
he confirms what she's looking for, but doesn't realize that it's not. He's giving her what she wants, but saying what we all know, which is that, it's a physical dependence and emotional dependence.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
codependency.
also very in line with the important analysis you're doing. And then we get the classic fruit roll-up dick shot.
Oh,
What a
Wait, what?
shot.
Fruit roll-up
when
dick
they
shot.
show like his
The
sticky
stretchy-
dick, he has to pull it out, and then it goes. boom,
I
like
also thought
Looney
it was
Tunes.
going to come off.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's
I was
what I
like,
thought.
we're about to go.
Yeah.
That was a good.
You better
They
go-
did a classic, the horror, like, oh, this is gonna happen, and then move on.
I also made a comment on like one of the last posts is like, how is it the percentage of movies that we watch, horror movies we cover, have dicks in it? And then of course it was another horror movie dick. We're progressive. Male nudity over.
Hell yeah.
I always
listen.
complain about no boobies. Oh, there were boobies.
Listen,
Yeah, right.
anyone can get it up in here. All right?
yeah.
Dude, the foot stepping down also in that scene was unbelievable filmmaking. Like the Jamie walking out of the room and it's like being like they got away, and then fucking Dave Franco, dumbass, fucking not waiting 2 more seconds and stepping his foot down. Such a good scene.
And that also was well written because she goes to apologize, and you're like, she
Right,
she
and-
doesn't know it, and he doesn't bring it up.
And then you're like, is it because he's a good guy? Or then we find out, no.
All right. So,
Dude, by the way, I just want to say when Dave Franco just kept showing up like a lost dog in all these scenes, it
In
was
the
so
window,
funny, dude.
my audience was dying.
Yeah,
laughing.
it was
The-
so
uh,
funny.
the
He would just
room.
be like outside
Yeah.
in like where the kids are playing in
Yeah.
recess or like by the bushes.
The
I
bushes
know where to
one.
go. He was literally a dog.
I
Yeah.
literally,
lost dog.
that's when I peed, is after that gag, and I learned my lesson to not endure through the third act
Yeah.
because I'm so glad I didn't.
Again, still never gonna learn the
All right.
lesson to not drink too much to make it.
Yeah, no matter what, I didn't drink, but anyway.
I meant liquids.
Interesting that he felt the effects of the infection first. He was the
He's the
co.
only one that drank the water, isn't he?
No, he gives it to her.
Did she drink the water?
Yes, he says it's good to drink and then fills the bottle and gives it to her. 100.
I actually wrote down that I'm not sure.
Yes.
He does put it in the bottle, but we don't see her
Yeah,
drinking it, so
exactly.
we never know
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it
yeah.
happened.
She
He
doesn't drink it.
specifically mentions
She drinks it.
it's not clear, Will.
It's after they have sex
You can
that
interpret.
she starts having the
I
symptoms.
Yeah, because
Can you
he's
guys
getting
look it up? I really thought that I saw that.
No. And by the
Because
way,
he fills
never drink stagnant water.
He,
all right?
he the
It
point
was a
Ever.
little weird too for his little Bushwick ass to just be like, "I'm drinking this water immediately."
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I think it's important
but
though.
also like it makes sense that he would because he doesn't know anything about the laws
The
of
reason
nature.
that I do think she drank it also, but drank it second, is the infection did eventually
because they had
go to
sex.
her.
Because they had sex.
I don't think
That's why. After they have sex, she starts experiencing
Dude,
symptoms.
all right, this is a ChatGPT response, so we don't know if it's true,
All
but
right, who wins? Just tell me who wins.
Yeah, Will's wrong. It says only he drinks the cave water, specifically after they fall into the cave. And then it says Tim drinks it, which starts the fusion. Millie does not drink it, but still gets fused because love is contagious.
Because
I don't know if that's that direct.
the
for
exchange
sure
of
either.
fluids.
It could be true.
That's how sex works, by the way.
Breakdown I watched also said that they both drank the water. Like the
I-
dogs
I,
both drank
I
the water.
actually wrote down several times in my notes, did she drink the water? Did she drink the water? So the point is, I don't think he made an answer clear. I didn't think of that second Dragon Ball Z fusion dance.
That's what I liked about this movie. They went through all the stages of relationship.
Yeah.
They went through birth, push,
Okay.
push when they're getting food. Remember, he goes push. Marriage, when the professor is wearing all white and he's basically a priest and he's like cuts her arm with the
but
ring.
he's not even
and they
there.
Get married, but eventually
Yeah.
they're becoming. And then death, where they're literally holding each other's arms and they're there for their final moments before they fuse into one.
Right, and the hairball
Transpire.
part of the
the
relationship.
first two.
where you eat each other's hair till you throw up.
True. Have you ever had that where you're like
Where you
you're
have a
in a
hairball?
bed and you find you're like anyway, that's a little too personal.
What?
Will just went on a whole personal.
No, I don't
rant.
want to go there.
The first two replies
yeah.
to "Did Millie drink the water?" and Google are AI. Yes, she drank the water eventually in the cave, and the other is, I'm not
Okay.
making this up. Google it.
Come on,
It's not clear. The
I
answer
did
is that
not
it's not
see
clear.
that. I was
Well, that's-
so
They do
hyper.
not show
I was
it.
so hyper
They
focused. on
1,000%
that.
do not show her drinking
That's
water.
the
You're
whole-
not saying they show
That's
her.
the
Will.
whole reason
Yeah.
he's.
No.
She hands it
Wait,
to
time
her.
out, guys. That's the whole reason he's having the symptoms, and she's looking at him like, "What's wrong
I
with you?"
agree.
For
That's what I thought.
The next 35 minutes of the movie.
So I thought it was the order because the dogs both drank it at the same time.
Correct.
He
That's
drank
why
it
they killed
first.
each other within 24 hours.
Yeah, and he drank it first and she drank it second was my interpretation, which is why she eventually experiences the symptoms independent
Because
of him.
they had sex, dude.
That's
Because
Or
after
it
the
could just be-
moment,
it could just
no,
be-
but
it doesn't
after
have
the-
to be the sex.
Whatever, but it would make more sense because I mean, like depictions of sex in body horror are like huge in a lot of movies. But anyway, I'm just saying, after that moment in the bathroom,
I'm seeing both. This is
the symptoms manifest
'cause the point
in
is-
her.
Yeah. I understand
No, I'm
that,
just
but you
saying
could
that-
also argue that it's the slow build because he drank the water first. But the point is, it's not clearly
Okay,
shown.
that's fine. Doesn't matter. So
All right.
are you? Let's finish the
So
hypothesis.
either she drank it second or he passed it to her. Either words, I do think it's important the order of the symptoms being established with Franco first, but eventually fully and independently experienced by her until which she finally is able to admit that this codependency that's physically manifested is happening. I don't think it's a coincidence that the person with the established trauma is the one who it's told about first. We see it through his characterization, but then through the symptoms physically, him first, her second. The point is, I actually like the idea of it being contagious better. You create codependency in your partner that may not have otherwise experienced it if it wasn't for you being somebody susceptible to forcing something that doesn't necessarily fully align. I wish I could get an answer. All right.
There isn't. That might be a good movie you've seen.
All right. Also, I think probably the most powerful thing, and this is something that I personally dealt with multiple times, and it drove me nuts for the years in between it not being resolved. But at the very beginning of the movie, that fight following the proposal, she asks, "What's going on?" and then says, "If we don't split now, it will be harder later." And then, literally, when their arms fuse together and they have
Right, the wood saw.
if we don't split now, it'll be harder later.
That's great.
And they decide to physically try
That was
to
an
do the
awesome scene.
split, only to eventually succumb to.
Yeah, but it
the
was
thing.
still smart. They were using some sense there.
So where I think it ends beautifully, and I go against my thing about it not actually having a bow. I do think that it commits to the metaphor without giving you an answer. They succumb to it. He tries to save her by killing himself, only realizing that she will die if he doesn't allow the mold. For whatever reason, then he decides for both of them to make it happen, and she eventually consents, and they become one. Now, what I think is genius about this, up to a point, you're thinking codependency is shit. This whole thing looks brutal, uncomfortable, horrifying. But they let it happen, and they become one person. And there's no, this worked out horribly like the couple
Yeah,
that went
right.
missing.
Probably, and I think it was implied that they were, because I kept thinking, why are they so fucked up? And I think the answer is because they never accepted the fusion was maybe it. Like they were still resisting it. That's what the neck knife implied. So I thought that was a good point. Like them being on the same page is what's necessary for the fusion to work.
And again, they made the decision, so they chose to make it happen. Not saying that was the right thing for them.
No.
It's just saying what had happened. And
What did you guys think about them showing the face at the end? I thought it's the classic, it'd be very cliche to not show the face and have the doorbell. Once they rang the doorbell and it was the fucking cult symbol, I thought that was awesome. The whole crowd was like, oh, and I thought that could have been the ending. I respect that they didn't want to do that, but I laughed when they showed, again, it looked like this comedian Tig Notaro.
Oh,
it
the
just looked like
voice.
an androgynous.
I thought it would have been funny
yeah.
if they had them looking gruesomely merged together.
Right.
And
like,
mom and
being
dad are like, hey.
Oh, that's very substance.
Can I
Like,
put the coffee on?
Yeah,
Or something? Like
yeah.
when they're like dripping.
Mom,
it's
why
pretty-
are you looking
I
at
thought
me like
that would have
that?
been hilarious
Yeah.
and a great. Just
Yeah.
keep going with the funny.
I think the right way to end it would have been not showing.
I wrote, didn't need to show end.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually
Or
wrote-
maybe just show the reaction of the parents, like horrific.
But
Because
then-
then they just open the door and they're like, "Oh, is
Yeah, my
Tim
kids
and Millie
home?
here?"
Yeah.
But they
Where are
weren't
they?
horrified, the parents.
No, I
Doesn't
think
matter.
we all agree that
Yeah.
it was a little weird to just show the face of a
Yeah, it
random
was
person.
weird. The ending was kind of
Yeah,
stupid. I
yeah,
thought the ending was
I
stupid.
think-
It was not a fulfilling ending, correct?
Yeah.
No, I think the ending was
just
no
said how you didn't
perfectly
like it.
written, but I said did not need to show. I didn't need to see
Yeah,
their
that's the
face.
writing. The writing tells you what you
No,
see.
but I'm
Show
saying
don't tell.
I think it's perfect the
I
idea
mean-
of them fusing into one person and the parents confronting them and then us not seeing if it's weird or not or if
Right. Okay.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
that's
just didn't like seeing the person, and I think Brendan.
Yeah.
is
yeah,
agreeing.
the
Okay.
voice was
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
too much.
Yeah. Okay,
Classic.
so I think we're pretty much good there. I had a few things I wanted to pop on, and then I think it's time to get to Rottenest Tomato. I think that one of my favorite lines in the movie as well, when they get in the cave, she's describing it. Do you remember what she refers to the cave as?
Culty.
She says, "It feels crowded."
Oh,
And
yeah, that's creepy as
I was
fuck.
like, what a fucking good creepy line
remember that.
before we know
I thought
much.
Alison
he
Brie says
said
that?
Yeah, Alison Brie says it feels crowded. I love that line. So I thought that was great. Some of the horror stuff that just was so good and worth pointing out is like when he's going to get on the train to go back, and it's a classic horror trope. We're all like, come on, get on the train. You can get on the train. And you know he's not going to get on the train. And again, they fused it. It was funny, just him like running back, but also what a good scene. What good tension. What good, like, it was predictable that he wasn't going to get on the train, but it still scared the shit out of me. I really liked overall, we talk about this a lot, they just like, the rules were exactly enough. Like we talk about movies that tell too much, too little, long legs, too little, bring her back too much. I thought this was like, they just explained the rules and they didn't explain too much about the cult.
Well, that wedding video was perfect.
Yeah.
Explication.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Just great fucking exposition. I loved it.
Exposition.
Really good. I think to your point, when he's flying around the bathroom the first time we're showing her turning the turns, I was like, oh no, is this going to be a bad movie? And then they really caught that up. And I loved even the little body horror Jabberwocky moves where they're doing the little back flips, dances. I thought that was cool.
The scene that you guys hated, the shower scene, it becomes more okay when it's paralleled with her finally exhibiting the symptoms on her
later,
floating, hitting her head against the wall.
And like I said before, I was beating around the bush because it was pre-spoiler room, but her flying into that door and then floating up, and that was one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen, honestly. That really fucked me up, like I said. All right, I think let's get into Medicare at Best. This is where, before we get into Rotten Tomatoes, where we're going to estimate the tomato meter and see what we thought people thought and what people thought and what critics thought and all that fun stuff. But before that, we like to remind you guys that, not all people are equal. And so sometimes you just got to read them reviews that make you be like, what?
They say, huh?
Well, this is actually fascinating. It's going to be harder to find one because literally the audience score went up a point since I wrote it down when I got here.
Dang. I have no idea what to even... Anyway, go.
I don't know. I didn't pick them beforehand, but this one just jumped out at me. 2 stars. I would give this movie maybe a 40. That's 40%.
That's correct. He's correct. The 2 stars equals 40%.
All right. This feels ironic because in the entire breakdown, all I talked about was Franco and not the issues with her complacency. But half a star. Another teenage boy movie. Rotten Tomatoes seems to only have one demographic in mind for recommendations. So they think the critics must have thought that they only understood or the movie was catered towards teenage boys, which makes no sense.
Also interesting to think that Rotten Tomatoes is like making a decision in like their office of what movie should we tell people to see, and then
Wait, what? They didn't see the movie if that's their review of the movie.
Okay, this one's great just from the first sentence. 1 star. This is a verified check mark next to. I didn't even get to watch the movie. I sat in the wrong auditorium until I realized it was playing Superman, not Together. Together is not even capitalized, so it sounds like it was playing Superman, not Together. I even went and asked one of the clerks, and he didn't help me at all, sent me the wrong direction. Got to the point where I was so frustrated, I just left. So they should be reviewing Superman.
The theater, AMC fucking Empire over there.
All right,
Wait, that's
a good
so
one.
funny.
All right, let's leave on that.
That's so fucking funny. I went to the wrong restaurant. 1 star Taco Bell.
So what do we think the critics think? Yeah. What do we think the people think? What do we think Abbie introed it already?
And what do we think our audience thinks of this? Nice little jingle, Brendan. Hit it.
Sweeps.
You are about to find out if we really know what we're talking about. Are we frauds or are we connoisseurs? Here come our Rotten Tomato scores.
So you boys successfully evaded all scores?
I evaded all scores. All scores in 7 years ago.
Yeah, all scores, yeah. I did see the IMDb score.
We're not doing that
But
one.
we're not doing that one. So
IMDb is a good name, though.
So,
I gotta say, it's so fucking hard not to see these scores, dude. I'm
Yeah,
squinting
I'm really
when I'm
good
looking
at
up
it.
Fletch facts and trying to like understand about.
Yeah.
I'm squinting at my screen, man.
Well, that's
I'm
'cause you
putting
need
duct tape
glasses.
over. Okay, we got problems. I'm gonna go first because I literally think I'm gonna nail these.
Yeah.
Because I did see the scores actually. Not joking. Do I do critics or audience?
Critics.
Critics. I'm gonna say. I bet critics ate this up like a 4 square meals.
Audience.
I bet critics said, "Oh my God, this poetry! It's a commentary upon the modern relationship." New York Times did a whole fucking quarter
This is a movie
page.
about Israel and Palestine, and
Also,
we
a little bit of peek. I don't want to talk too much to date this episode, but we're pretty early in this movie's release, and that does make the critic reviews be a little higher in my experience.
And we have never really done a movie that wasn't critically acclaimed. We've never really covered an absolute shitter of a movie. So I'm gonna.
Will
With that
won't
being
let
said,
us.
Will won't let us. We have to do good movies, quote unquote. So that being said, I'm gonna say this movie critic score 89.
Okay. So I'm going to go definitely higher than that, I want to say. Also,
Really? All right.
just to rebuttal your statement, we have seen a few Nutter Butters. We saw Trapped, bad reviews.
But
We
always
saw,
above 50.
That
Not
was pretty
Trapped.
close.
I thought that
No,
was
it
Except for
was
Trapped,
above, and
that's
we were
right.
mad because we wanted
Oh,
to do
yeah,
it.
that's
No,
right.
it was above. Okay, I think it's going to be absolutely out of this world. I also think, to be fair, like I didn't see the Rotten Tomato, but I think 2 weeks ago I saw an Instagram ad that was like, it's 100% on. But that's,
10 reviews,
with
yeah.
10 reviews. I think it's going to be a 96.
Really?
Yeah,
Dude,
critics.
if this is a 96.
You just gave a whole poetic of why. They're going to be
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
this is
But I couldn't
the
even go that high.
relationship-y relationship.
With that being said, I
here.
couldn't
Damn,
go.
so Trap was 57, so it's still rotten.
It's
below
over
the
50 though.
60%.
All right, but it's a failed grade because it's a D or an F.
64.
All right, what's
I'm
the
getting
critic?
mad all over again.
What's the critic one?
97 with 100 reviews, which
Told
is
you.
100 is more than enough
Yeah.
that it's not going to fluctuate much.
97
Told
is
you
nuts.
literally explained why, and then you questioned
Well,
yourself.
I know. I'm reacting
yeah.
to it live.
Don't you react?
You're right, but 97, like after the soliloquy about New York Times and this being commentary about modern relationships and the fears and stuff about
Not
people
modern.
committing. I think
All
so.
relationships, but
No, but I
there's a
think
lot of modern references.
In modern times,
Yeah.
but any relationship. That's a distinction.
Modern and in modern times are the same thing.
No.
Anyway, yeah, they are. But I'm saying, like, I think this is the people, critics are going, oh, this is a seminal work in commentary about modern relationships. 97 isn't as shocking, but I couldn't give it higher than 89 just because I didn't personally
Yeah.
feel it
well,
had.
you're
yeah.
missing
Well,
the point
that
of the
ain't
game.
your score,
but,
dog.
okay, now let's do audience.
I'll lead off.
Pardon me.
I'm going to go audience, and again, it's always the classic case. Critics, when it's that high, audience is inevitably lower than it. So, what?
Let me
I mean,
redo
it's
that.
harder to be higher
Yeah.
than 97% with a movie about stretched out.
It could be 98.
Well, I don't think it's even going to be close. I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
be 96. I think
Okay.
it's going to be. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be closer to my original critics
Yeah.
score. I'm going to say 80. I'm going to go 89.
That's
89.
really close,
I think
though. So you're not saying it's an
89 is not close to 97.
Yeah, but I thought you were saying it's like an overcorrection when it's really high.
I think when a movie is critically acclaimed on Rotten Tomatoes 97, I always think it's significantly lower.
Yeah.
Is 89 not significantly lower? I think that's
No,
think
because
it's a good
horror
idea.
you see all the time. Critically, it's like 82, and then audience is like 60.
89%.
Okay, cool. I think that, again, I think I'm going to take your point and just follow it further.
You're going
because
lower,
I
yeah.
think that they tried a lot of things, which, as we said, like critics are more open to. I think a lot of people are going to think it was too funny. I think other people will think it wasn't funny enough, like they wish it was more body horror. So I'm
probably
gonna,
right. You're
I'm
probably
gonna
right.
guess a critic score of 84.
You're probably,
Audience score.
Audience score, sorry, popcorn meter 84.
You're probably right. It probably lower actually.
It's 80%. It was 79%
Yeah,
when
I
I.
should have, dude.
What's crazy though is
Follow
this
your
is
gut.
actually a much smaller discrepancy than a lot-
17%'s not that small, but I know what you mean. They're both
Then-
still high.
Yes, exactly. Usually, what happens is you get these certified, like the
Lover boys.
certified fresh means even the editors at the people like they liked it, and then it's lost on so many people.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna go full segue to our scores, and I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna say, I think that is a sign that they tried a lot of things. They still broke that 80 mark barely in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It sounds like, but I think that's because this was a good movie. I
Yeah.
thought this was a good movie.
And to be fair, the number between 80 and 97 is 89.
Oh, so you were splitting the difference.
Yeah.
You're a man of the people. You're a median man.
Liz, I'm a
So-
median man.
You almost
Everyone
brought those
knows
two
it.
numbers together,
Yeah.
dude.
So wow, they're fused
Yeah.
together. 98.
Nice.
That's
So-
coming on YouTube.
So I think that overall this was a good movie. I think that there's a few flaws to it, which was like I thought there was a little less payoff with some of the rat dream stuff than I wanted. I thought there was a little too silly of an ending. But overall, and I was terrified, which I can't hold against it because that's the whole point of the podcast. But it made me hurt, and I had very scary dreams last night. So scary. I am going to give this movie an 8.8. And that's pretty high. And I thought it was a really good
Dude,
movie.
that's crazy you just said that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Classic
8.8.
Will Doves reaction.
Wow.
I was thinking it, but I'm not choosing that.
Oh,
number.
twist.
Oh,
M.
what?
Night. M. Night's back in the house.
I'm going way higher.
Hold on, but
I'm
Abbie,
joking, I'm going way
8.8
lower.
what?
Oh, great question. I'm going to give it 8.8, right in the woods with water at the bottom, buttholes.
I actually, the reason I said it because I was, as you were talking, I was thinking of what I was going to give this movie. And
That's a good way to listen.
And sorry, but well, I was listening and I listened to your
Listening to
8.8,
myself.
and that's why I thought of it. Okay.
What are you, the screenwriter of Together, dude? You just got pitched another idea?
8.8 I thought was a good score, and I was actually on the fence of saying 8.8, but I think I'm going to have to give it a little lower, though I thought the movie was great, and I thought there were really some really great moments that we touched on earlier. I thought I'm not a huge body horror fan in general,
Yeah.
but I feel like it did work in this movie. Like poetically, symbolically, it made a lot of sense. Whereas some other body
Right,
horror
it
movies
feels
I've
like
seen,
more
it feels
forced.
like more gratuitous.
Yeah.
And again, those little those micro scenes of talking about relationships and the anxieties that come with intimate relationships and stuff, and the nuances, I thought those were captured really well in this movie. I'm gonna give it an 8.7.
All
just
right.
below,
All right.
yours. Yeah. But I think I would recommend this. I don't think I would recommend it to an absolute horror
Snob.
Horror snob.
Those are the
but
people
someone
eating
who,
it up, though. I feel like.
yeah, some people I'm sure would. My dad, I don't think would like this movie. He's seen as many horror movies as I've seen. I don't think
It's
he
out
would
there.
enjoy
It's
this
a
movie.
weird. It's out there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
silly.
yeah.
The tone, like you said, it tries many different tones, and we
Yeah.
thought they pulled it off.
If they're a
mostly,
huge
but that's a
Cronenberg
lot
head,
to
I would
try.
say absolutely see this
Yeah.
movie. If they love The Substance, I would say see this movie. If they love Hereditary, I would say, yeah, you probably will enjoy some parts of this. But yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Dubsy.
This is wild because I'm not going to change what I wrote down.
Good.
I feel like I liked it better than you guys. It was everything that I wanted The Substance to be, and I feel like I could not stop hearing about that fucking movie. I loved it. But I'm going back to committing to my rating scale
He's gonna
rubric.
give it a fucking 8.0.
No.
Why?
I'm going to give it,
8.5?
I wrote down 8.5 stretched out all beef kosher Frankos.
Oh, I like that.
But
Roll up, dude.
to me, I was thinking 4.5 stars is too high, so 4.25 is 8.5.
Yeah, I
out of
like
10.
dude. You're right in our zone.
I'm only doing.
Yeah.
uh,
No, we don't need to hear about your
out of
scale
5.
anymore. Brendan, you forgot to give us a little variable on yours, so you got an 8.7 what?
Oh yeah, that's actually insane that I didn't.
This is how we're gonna end it, guys. This is a big moment.
Okay.
Can we get a drum roll, please?
Because one thing about the ratings is I do think it's interesting. I actually think objectively I like the movie more than Brendan, but I still believe it's an 8.5 and you believe it's an 8.8, which is beautiful and why this show works. It's all relative. We all have our different evaluations of. And my 8.5 means something different from Brendan's 8.8. And you know what that's called?
8.7.
Growth. 8.7. That's actually the opposite of growth. The number just went down.
Yeah.
My point is I love
I love
being
you guys.
together.
I love you guys.
with you guys.
Aw.
Shut up, please.
Let's fuse right after
Um,
this.
c-
Brendan, final score.
I'm
This is
giving-
how we end the episode.
Okay, I'm giving it 8.7. Absolutely insanely
Insane.
wet.
Crazy.
Oh, so wet.
Oh,
Children's
shit.
public bathrooms.
Oh,
Dude, water again.
All right, this one goes out to everyone who's ever stuck by us, everyone who's
Unlike
ever said,
Allison's
this is
pussy.
it.
Yo.
Allison's Restaurant,
I'm
thank you guys so much
together.
for coming
Weather,
out.
feather, I'm
Weather,
on a
feather,
leather.
coming
I'm
back,
eating
because
feather,
weather, no matter weather, coming better.
and let's get a meningitis setter.
Let's do it, peace.
All right.
Two